A lively, bustling marketplace in the heart of Veradale. Merchants call out their prices. Children run between stalls, and the air is thick with the scent of fresh bread, spices, and roasted meat. The afternoon sun casts golden light over the cobblestone streets. Characters. Elena, a sharp-tongued merchant's daughter, hard-working and proud. Prince Aldric, disguised as a beggar, observing the kingdom in secret. Market vendors and townsfolk. Background characters adding life to the scene. The scene opens with Elena arranging apples at her father's fruit stall. She wipes sweat from her brow, sighing as she watches customers haggle nearby. Elena, muttering to herself, some people think they can get everything for free. Hard work means nothing to them. A cloaked figure approaches her stall. His clothes are worn, dusty, and frayed at the edges. He reaches out and picks up an apple, turning it in his hands as if admiring it. Elena snaps, grabbing the apple from his hands. Hey, do you have any money for that? The man, startled, lifts his gaze. His deep blue eyes are striking, but his face is partially hidden beneath his hood. Prince Aldric, softly, I was just looking. Elena huffs, crossing her arms, looking doesn't fill bellies, does it? Either pay or move along. This isn't charity. A few nearby merchants glance over, shaking their heads, murmuring in agreement. The man lowers his hand and steps back, but his expression remains calm, almost amused. Prince Aldric, do you always treat strangers this way? Elena, raising an eyebrow, just the ones who take without asking. If you're looking for handouts, try the baker down the road. He's soft-hearted. The man chuckles lightly, shaking his head. Prince Aldric, perhaps kindness should not be reserved only for the soft-hearted. Before Elena can respond, the sound of approaching hoofbeats echoes through the marketplace. A group of armored knights, their silver crests glinting in the sunlight, dismount and stride toward the scene. Knight, calling out, "Urgently, Your Highness." There you are. The marketplace falls into silence. Merchants and customers turn to stare as the knights kneel before the ragged man. Elena's breath catches in her throat. Elena, whispering, "Stunned Highness?" The man slowly lifts his hood, revealing his face fully for the first time. The dust and rags do little to hide his regal features. Prince Aldric straightens, his posture no longer that of a beggar, but a man accustomed to command. Prince Aldric, coolly, I want to see how my people live. I see now that they are met with suspicion rather than kindness. Elena's face flushes red with embarrassment. She opens her mouth but finds no words. Elena, stammering, "I didn't know." "Your Highness, I..." Prince Aldric studies her for a moment, then gives a small, knowing smile. Prince Aldric, perhaps next time you'll show kindness without needing a crown to see someone's worth. With that, he turns to his knights and walks away, leaving Elena standing amidst the crowd, her pride shattered and her heart heavy with regret. Late afternoon in Veradale. The marketplace has begun to settle, and Elena sits on a wooden bench outside her father's stall, lost in thought. The echoes of hushed whispers from merchants and townsfolk still linger as news of the prince's identity spreads. Characters. Elena, guilt-ridden, reflecting on her actions. Master Gregor, an older merchant, wise and observant. Market vendors and townsfolk. Background characters whispering about the earlier events. Elena sits on a bench, nervously twisting the hem of her apron. Her father, busy with inventory, pays her little mind. She overhears snippets of conversations from nearby merchants. Merchant 1, whispering, "Can you believe it? The prince disguised as a beggar." Merchant 2 chuckles, and Elena yelling at him like he was nothing. Elena clenches her fists, shame burning in her chest. She looks down, kicking at the cobblestones. An older merchant, Master Gregor, approaches and sits beside her. Master Gregor, calmly, "You've been quiet, girl. That's unlike you." Elena, softly, "I made a fool of myself today." Master Gregor. Master Gregor, nodding sagely, "Aye, you did. But tell me, what bothers you more? That you scolded a prince, or that you judge a man before knowing his worth?" Elena looks up, startled by the question. She opens her mouth, but hesitates. Elena, whispering, "I thought he was just another beggar." Master Gregor. And had he been, would your words have been justified? She doesn't answer immediately. The weight of the question settles over her. She exhales, rubbing her temples. Elena, no, they wouldn't have been. Master Gregor nods approvingly. He gestures toward the marketplace, where people continue their business as if nothing had changed. Master Gregor, a lesson learned is never wasted, child. But learning is only the first step. What will you do now? Elena straightens, determination flickering in her eyes. She rises from the bench, smoothing her dress. Elena, resolutely I'll make it right. Somehow, Master Gregor smiles and pats her shoulder. Master Gregor, then you're already on the right path. As the sun dips lower in the sky, Elena watches the fading light and steels herself for the days ahead. The lesson has been painful, but perhaps it is one she needed to learn. The grand courtyard of the royal palace. Marble columns stretch toward the sky, and the scent of blooming roses fills the air. The golden light of the setting sun casts long shadows over the cobblestone paths. Elena, dressed in her best but still modest attire, stands at the towering palace gates, her heart pounding. Characters. Elena, determined to seek forgiveness from the prince. Prince Aldric, calm, composed, and waiting for Elena's words. Royal guard, a stoic presence at the palace entrance. Lady Evelyn, a noblewoman observing from a distance. Elena approaches the grand gates, her fingers tightening around the small basket of freshly picked apples she carries. The royal guards at the entrance eye her with suspicion. Royal guard, sternly state your business. Elena, nervously, I wish to see His Highness. Prince Aldric, royal guard. Raising an eyebrow, the prince does not entertain unannounced visitors. Just as Elena prepares to turn away, a calm voice cuts through the air. Prince Aldric, from a distance, let her pass. The guards immediately step aside, and Elena's breath catches as the prince emerges from the palace steps, dressed in regal attire. His expression is unreadable as he walks toward her. Prince Aldric, cool, you have come a long way, merchant's daughter. Elena bows her head, gripping the basket tighter. Elena, earnestly, your highness, I came to apologize. I spoke without thinking. I judge you unfairly. I was wrong. She hesitantly lifts the basket, revealing the apples. Elena, softly, these are from my father's orchard, a gift to show my sincerity. Prince Aldric studies her for a moment before reaching out, plucking an apple from the basket. He turns in his hand, a small smile tugging at his lips. Prince Aldric, gently apples, ironic. Considering the last one you took from me. Elena's face flushes red, but she manages a small, sheepish smile. The prince takes a slow bite, savoring the fruit. Prince Aldric, thoughtfully words spoken in haste are easy to regret, but true growth comes from learning. Tell me, Elena, what have you learned? Elena, firmly that kindness should not depend on status. That person's worth is not defined by their clothes or wealth, and that I still have much to learn. Prince Aldric nods approvingly, tossing the apple core aside. Prince Aldric, warmly, then you are already on a better path. From a nearby balcony, Lady Evelyn watches the exchange with curiosity. The prince turns to Elena once more. Prince Aldric, smirking next time, perhaps offer a guest an apple before snatching it away? Elena laughs, her nervousness melting away. The tension of the past is replaced by a budding understanding. As the sun sets over Veridale, a new chapter begins. The royal gardens, a secluded area within the palace grounds. The scent of lavender and jasmine fills the air, and a soft breeze rustles through the ancient oaks. The sky is painted in hues of deep orange and soft purple as dusk approaches. Fireflies begin to flicker among the hedges. Characters. Elena, still uncertain about where she stands with the prince. Prince Aldric, observing Elena with a newfound curiosity. Lady Evelyn, a noblewoman skeptical of Elena's presence. Chamberlain Roland, a wise advisor to the prince. Elena follows a palace attendant through winding stone paths, her heart heavy with uncertainty. She had been summoned by the prince, yet she does not know why. As she steps into the garden clearing, She sees Prince Aldric seated beneath a grand willow tree, gazing at a fountain in deep thought. Prince Aldric, without looking up, you hesitate. Why? Elena, startled but composed, I was unsure if I should disturb you. Your Highness. The prince finally turns to face her, his expression unreadable. He gestures to a stone bench opposite him. Prince Aldric, gesturing, sit. Talk with me. Elena hesitates before complying, smoothing her skirt as she perches on the edge of the bench. A long silence follows, broken only by the gentle sound of water trickling from the fountain. Elena, quietly, why did you summon me, Your Highness? Prince Aldric, leaning forward slightly, I have been thinking about our last conversation, about lessons learned, and about what comes next. Elena, frowning slightly, what comes next? Before the prince can answer, the soft sound of approaching footsteps interrupts them. Lady Evelyn, adorned in a flowing silk gown, steps into clearing, her sharp eyes narrowing at Elena. Lady Evelyn, coolly, I see our dear prince has taken an interest in commoners. Elena stiffens, but Prince Aldric remains composed. Prince Aldric, calmly, Lady Evelyn, I was not expecting company. Lady Evelyn, smiling thinly, I was merely taking an evening stroll when I heard voices. I had to see for myself who was occupying your time. She glances at Elena with mild disdain before turning back to the prince. Lady Evelyn, with feigned curiosity, surely, Your Highness, you do not intend to associate with merchants as equals? Elena's hands clench in her lap, but she remains silent, waiting for the prince's response. Prince Aldric, however, only chuckles, shaking his head. Prince Aldric, smirking, I intend to associate with those who prove their worth, regardless of their birth. Lady Evelyn's expression falters for a moment before she regains her composure. Lady Evelyn, lightly, how noble of you. She curtsies slightly before departing, her presence leaving an air of lingering tension. After a moment, the prince turns back to Elena. Prince Aldric, thoughtfully, I would like you to stay at the palace, not as a servant, nor as a merchant's daughter, but as my guest. Elena's breath catches in her throat, eyes widening. Elena, barely above a whisper, your guest? Prince Aldric, nodding, there is more to learn, and I believe you have much to teach me as well. Elena looks down, uncertain but intrigued. The idea of staying in the palace, learning its ways and understanding its people. It is overwhelming, yet strangely exhilarating. Elena, after a pause, if that is truly your wish, then I accept. Prince Aldric smiles, satisfied with her answer. As the night deepens, fireflies dance in the air, and an unspoken promise lingers between them. A journey neither of them had expected.